Shipwrecks are often perceived as strangely romantic or somehow endowed with a mystical quality. Many of them have inspired legends and stories through the ages, and the strange and unusual events associated with the loss of ships can truly haunt the imagination. Here are the top 20 most mysterious shipwrecks in history. You are on the Facts Room channel. Before we start, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, let's go! Being a treasure hunter is indeed a real profession, although most of the time it is filled with disappointments and involves an unimpressive search operation rather than a cinematic journey through caves littered with glittering gold artifacts. But perhaps what drives these treasure hunters is the hope of a life-changing find, gleaming at the bottom of the ocean. This team of treasure hunters was diving off the east coast of Florida when they came across gold gleaming in the shallow waters near Vero Beach. They had previously been lucky with a find nearby, but they never expected to find this gleaming hoard of rare 18th century coins. Something eerie about this treasure is that it can be traced back to the shipwreck of a fleet that was sailing through a dangerous hurricane on that very day. The coins found in this hoard included several extremely rare specimens known as Royal Audoscudos. These particular coins made the find so valuable. In total, the coins were valued at $45 million. A trading vessel sank off the coast of the island of Antera in the Mediterranean Sea in the first half of the 1st century BCE. This shipwreck turned out to be of enormous archaeological significance, as it has been revealing its secrets over the years. Numerous ancient artifacts have been discovered in the sunken ship of Antera. Many treasures have been retrieved from the wreck site, but much remains hidden down below, partly because of the huge and inconvenient pile of massive boulders. These large stones lie on top of the wreck site, likely deposited there during an earthquake in the 4th century CE. Among all the old debris and rubble, archaeologists were particularly excited about the discovery of a strange ancient bronze disc of unknown origin, hands from a statue, and our old favorite, the Antikythera mechanism. So why all the fuss about this bronze disc? This object was round, apparently made of bronze, and had numerous holes as well as an image of a bull. The plot thickens, but despite even ancient history enthusiasts not knowing what it is. This luxury ocean liner, converted into a military ship during World War II, was one of the largest and most luxurious ships of its time. In 1941, it was converted into a troop transport to support the war effort. And in October 1942, while trying to enter the harbor, the ship struck mines laid by Allied forces and sank within hours. Fortunately, most of the passengers and crew survived the wreck, with only 2 fatalities. Today, the wreck of the Coolidge is a popular diving spot at the bottom of the ocean. This ship was a cargo steamer operating in the Arctic regions in the early 20th century. It primarily transported goods such as furs and skins between ports and the Northwest Territories of Canada. In 1931, while navigating the icy waters of the Beaufort Sea, it became stuck in the ice, and the crew abandoned the ship, believing it would soon be crushed. But to their surprise, the ship remained afloat for the next several decades. It drifted throughout the Arctic region and earned the somewhat banal nickname, the Ghost Ship of the Arctic. Despite numerous attempts to salvage or sink the vessel, it continued to evade capture. The ship was last seen in 1969, but its ultimate fate remains unknown. The Edmund Fitzgerald was a cargo ship that sank in Lake Superior on the 10th of November 1975 during a severe storm. At the time, it was one of the largest ships on the Great Lakes, measuring over 650 feet in length. All 29 crew members perished in the disaster, making it one of the worst maritime tragedies in the history of the Great Lakes. Over the years, efforts were made to bring it home. The exact cause of the wreck remains unknown, but it is believed that the ship encountered harsh weather, leading to its rapid sinking. The story of the Edmund Fitzgerald has since been immortalized in songs and folk tales. Originally built under emergency shipbuilding orders during World War I for the United States Shipping Board, SS Cudahy was a bulk carrier for the Emergency Fleet Corporation. It was launched in November 1918, just a few days too late for the war, and arrived in Boston on the 22nd of December 1918. The ship sustained damage when it ran aground off the coast of Brazil, and then had another mishap. It collided with a tug off the coast of Cuba. The tug suffered more and sank in this incident. Then in 1925, the entire ship and a crew of 32 people set off from Charleston, South Carolina to Havana, Cuba with a load of coal. They were never seen again. It was widely believed that the ship fell victim to the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. The infamous and mythical triangle is best known for its habit of swallowing airplanes, ships, and people, many of whom are never seen again. Dozens of sea vessels and aircraft have disappeared in this strange and unexplained spot in the Atlantic Ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Many of the disappearances occurred under completely inexplicable circumstances, often in good weather and with no obvious reason for them to encounter any difficulties. One of the most famous is the disappearance of a squadron of United States Navy bombers whose pilots reportedly lost their bearings while flying over the Bermuda Triangle, and the planes and crew were lost, never to be found. As if that wasn't enough, incidents do indeed frequently occur in this location, and no one really knows why. Many have tried to put forward theories about what happens there, but nothing has been successfully proven. So what really goes on there? However, the Bermuda Triangle did not swallow the Codaxi. As it turned out, a team of divers found the wreck of this ship just 50 kilometers off the coast of St. Augustine, Florida, where it appeared to have fallen victim to a powerful storm. It's mundane, but just as deadly as the mythical triangles. Our Lady of Atocha was a Spanish galleon that sank off the coast of the Florida Keys back in 1622. Its treasure became the stuff of legends, and when it was finally discovered by a commercial treasure hunting expedition in 1985, it sparked a huge controversy and legal battle over establishing the rightful claim to this wealth. The state of Florida tried to claim it for itself, but the treasure hunters resisted. Ultimately, the rule of finders keepers prevailed, and the treasure hunters kept the silver and gold coins and all other treasures they discovered and retrieved from the wreck site. The Terror was a Royal Navy warship used during the ill-fated Franklin expedition in the mid-19th century. The expedition set out in 1845 to explore the last uncharted section of the Northwest Passage, a notoriously dangerous waterway in the exceptionally cold Arctic. But as you can probably guess, the Terror, along with its sister ship Erebus, became trapped in the ice near King William Island in the Canadian Arctic archipelago. For the next year and a half, the crew was trapped in the icy landscape, enduring harsh conditions. It was frankly a horrifying nightmare. In April 1848, the crews of both ships were dying of starvation and cold, so they abandoned their vessels in a desperate attempt to reach safety on foot. Unfortunately, none of them survived. The wrecks of both ships remained undiscovered for over a century until expeditions found them. The wrecks were found surprisingly well preserved at the bottom of the Arctic Ocean. It was a rather grim discovery, but it provided plenty of material for creating spooky fictional stories about those events. The Mar Semfim yacht is a Brazilian vessel that sank and then froze in the Antarctic ice. The yacht belonged to a well-known journalist and entrepreneur, Laura Moshida, and had a crew of documentary filmmakers on board. The boat capsized and tossed the crew around for several hours in winds reaching 62 miles per hour. The vessel was caught in the ice, and they sent out a distress signal. The Chilean Navy sent help, but it took several days to reach them safely. The crew was rescued, but the boat was lost in the icy waters and remained frozen in the ice at depth until it was raised. At the time of its launch in June 1906, the Lusitania was considered the fastest, largest, and most luxurious ship in the world. The steamship was owned and operated by the Cunard Line and was a competitor to the White Star Line, owners of the ill-fated Titanic. During its 202nd crossing of the Atlantic, the Lusitania was sunk by a torpedo from a German U-boat. On board the ship were many Americans, 128 of whom perished, and this became one of the main factors pushing the United States into World War I. The loss of so many lives at the hands of the German Navy helped boost support for joining the war among the American public. The Lusitania became one of the most tragic passenger ship disasters in history. The vessel was not armed for combat and was carrying hundreds of civilians, but the German government justified the sinking by claiming that the Lusitania was carrying munitions, making it a non-neutral vessel. This was hotly debated until it was finally officially recognized that the wreck contained a large quantity of munitions, which posed a danger to any salvage team attempting to dive to the wreck site. While tales of missing ships are the stuff of legends, when a ship reappears but all traces of those on board have vanished, the situation becomes especially strange. The merchant ship Joyita disappeared along with all passengers on board in 1955, but even stranger was that the ship reappeared completely empty a few weeks later. The vessel set out from Apia in Samoa on a short voyage, and the weather was perfectly fine. It was carrying medical supplies, a lot of timber, and construction materials. On board were 25 people, a crew of 16 and 9 passengers. The direct route should not have taken much time, but the ship never arrived at its destination. 3 days later, its delay was reported, but no distress signals were received. Eventually, after 5 long weeks, a merchant ship spotted a vessel drifting ahead in a location more than 600 miles west of Joyita's supposed location. The ship was unresponsive, and the captain decided to approach. The vessel was mysteriously empty, despite being in good condition and not in danger of sinking. Much of the cargo was missing, and there was evidence that something had happened. All clocks on board had stopped at the same time. 10:25 p.m. The bridge and some compartments were damaged. Bloody bandages and doctor's bags were found on the deck. The radio was non-functional but was tuned to the distress frequency. All lifeboats and dinghies were gone. Numerous theories exist, but each has its own problems. So, friends, these were the incredible underwater finds. If you liked the video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, and also do not forget to check out our last 2 videos, which have just appeared on your screens.